And we're back. This should be the last leg of this 6-part video series for the Airframe written test bank. Electric wire terminals for most aircraft applications must be what type? Ring. What is the principal advantage of the series wound DC motor? High starting torque. If a generator is equipped with a vibrator type voltage regulator, the actual time the voltage regulator points remain open depends on the load carried by the generator. What is a cause of generator brush arcing? Low spring tension. What is required when operating 2 aircraft AC generators in parallel? Frequency and voltage must both be equal. The starting current of a series wound DC motor in passing through both the field and armature windings produces a high starting torque. Which motor would be most likely to have an armature brake? Landing light retraction motor. The method most often used in overcoming the effect of armature reaction is through the use of interpoles. The only practical method of maintaining a constant voltage output from an aircraft generator under varying conditions of speed and load is to vary the strength of the magnetic field. The pole pieces or shoes used in a DC generator are part of the field assembly. How many cycles of AC voltage are produced in a 6-pole alternator of the revolving field type for each revolution of the rotor? 3. If the reverse current cutout relay contact points fail to open after the generator output has dropped below battery potential, the current will flow through the generator armature opposite the normal direction and through the shunt field in the normal direction. How does the magnetic brake used to stop rotation of an electric motor armature operate? A friction brake is applied by a spring and released by a magnet. In a generator, what eliminates any possible sparking to the brush guides caused by the movement of the brushes within the holder? The brush pigtail. A series wound DC electric motor will normally require more current at a low RPM than at a high RPM. The type of electric wire terminals used for most aircraft applications, in addition to providing good current carrying capabilities, are designed primarily to prevent circuit failure due to terminal disconnection. Aluminum wire must be stripped very cleanly because individual strands will break easily after being nicked. The commutator of a generator changes alternating current produced in the armature into direct current as it is taken from the armature. An ammeter in a battery charging system is for the purpose of indicating the rate of current used to charge the battery. Which of the following is not one of the purposes of interpoles in a generator? Reduce field strength. To test generator or motor armature windings for opens, place armature in a growler and connect a 110 volt test light on adjacent segments. Light should light. What is the color and orientation of the position lights for navigation on civil airplanes? Left side, red. Right side, green. Rear aft, white. To what depth is the mica insulation between the commutator bars of a DC generator undercut? Equal to the width of the mica. A voltage regulator controls generator output by varying current flow to generator field coil. Which type of DC generator is not used as an airplane generator? Series wound. What is the most accurate type of frequency measuring instrument? Integrated circuit chip having a clock circuit. During ground operation, aircraft generator cooling is usually accomplished by an integral fan. What does a rectifier do? Changes alternating current into direct current. What type of instrument is used for measuring very high values of resistance? Mega ohm meter. When a diode is checked for an open circuit or a short circuit, it should be disconnected from the circuit. When handling a high voltage capacitor in an electrical circuit, be sure it is fully discharged before removing it from the circuit. Which of the following is most likely to cause thermal runaway in a NiCad battery? Excessive current draw from the battery. How can it be determined if a transformer winding has some of its turns shorted together? The transformer will get hot in normal operation. Which of the following are the major parts of a DC motor? Armature assembly, field assembly, brush assembly, and end frame. Regarding the above statements, 1. There are 3 basic types of DC motors: series, shunt, and compound. 2. In the series motor, the field windings consisting of relatively few turns of heavy wire are connected in series with the armature winding. Regarding those above statements, both number 1 and number 2 are true. What is the appropriate method for installing pre-insulated terminal lugs and splices to electrical wires? Using a crimping tool to secure the terminal lug. Which of the following factors must be taken into consideration when determining the wire size to use for an aircraft installation? Allowable power loss, permissible voltage drop, current carrying capability of the conductor, type of load. When selecting hardware for attaching bonding connections to an aircraft structure, which of the following should be considered? Mechanical strength, ease of installation, amount of current to be carried. How should the splices be arranged if several are to be located in an electrical wire bundle? Staggered along the length of the bundle. What is the minimum bend radius for an electrical wire bundle? 10 times the outside diameter of the bundle. When approved, splices may be used to repair manufactured harnesses or installed wiring. The maximum number of splices permitted between any two connectors is 1. Electrical connectors used in aircraft assembly should meet which of the following specifications? Military specifications, MS. The most common method of attaching a pin or socket to an individual wire in an MS electrical connector is by crimping. The pin section of an AN/MS connector is normally installed on the ground side of a circuit. The voltage output of an alternator may be regulated by controlling the voltage output of the DC exciter. If several long lengths of electrical cable are to be installed in rigid conduit, the possibility of damage to the cable as it is pulled through the conduit will reduce by dusting the cable with powdered soapstone. Grounding is electrically connecting a conductive object to the primary structure. One purpose of grounding is to prevent development of radio frequency potentials. What is normally used to bond non-continuous stainless steel aircraft components? Copper jumpers. Aircraft fuse capacity is rated in amperes. When adding a rheostat to a light circuit to control the light intensity, it should be connected in series with the light. Circuits that must be operated only in emergency or whose advertent activation could endanger a system frequently employ guarded switches. If one switch is used to control all navigation lights, the lights are most likely connected parallel to each other and in series with the switch. Oil canning of the sides of an aluminum or steel electrical junction boxes is considered to be a shorting hazard. Electric wiring installed in aircraft without special enclosing means. Open wiring offers the advantages of ease of installation, simple maintenance, and reduced weight. When bundling open wiring, the bundles should be limited as to the number of cables to minimize damage from a single electrical fault. During inspection of the terminal strips of an aircraft electrical system, it should be determined that the terminal studs are anchored against rotation. What protection to wires and cables does conduit provide when used in aircraft installations? Mechanical. Which of the following should be accomplished in the installation of aircraft wiring? Locate the bundle above flammable fluid lines and securely clamp to structure. If the positive terminal of a voltmeter is connected to the negative terminal of the source voltage and the negative terminal of the meter is connected to the positive terminal of the source voltage, the voltmeter will read backwards. When using the voltage drop method of checking circuit resistance, the input voltage must be maintained at a constant value. The nominal rating of electrical switches refers to the continuous current rating with the contacts closed. Aircraft electrical junction boxes located in a fire zone are usually constructed of stainless steel. To help minimize radio interference, a capacitor will largely eliminate and provide a steady direct current if the capacitor is connected to the generator in parallel. The primary considerations when selecting electrical cable size are current carrying capacity and allowable voltage drop. The navigation lights of some aircraft consist of a single circuit controlled by a single switch which has an on position and an off position with no additional positions possible. This switch is referred to as a single pole, single throw, SPST, two-position switch. Electrical circuits are protected from overheating by fuses. How should a coaxial cable be routed? As directly as possible. Which of the following copper electrical cable sizes should be selected to replace a number 6 aluminum electrical cable? Number 6. In installations where the ammeter is in the generator or alternator lead, and the regulator system does not limit the maximum current that the generator or alternator can deliver, the ammeter can be redlined at what % of the generator or alternator rating. 100%. Which statement relating to electric wiring is true? When attaching a terminal to the end of an electric cable, it should be determined that the strength of the cable to terminal joint is at least equal value to the tensile strength of the cable itself. Bonding connections should be tested for resistance value. What kind of switch should you install in a single wire circuit that required the switch to be manually held in the on position? Single pole, single throw, SPST, two position, normally open, NO. A circuit breaker is installed in an aircraft electrical system primarily to protect the circuit and should be located as close to the source as possible. How should a voltmeter be connected? In parallel with the load. A circuit protection device called a current limiter is essentially a slow blow fuse and is designed to be used in heavy power circuits. If it is necessary to use an electrical connector where it may be exposed to moisture, the mechanic should use a special moisture-proof type. Which of the following are considered circuit protective devices that are used in aircraft electrical systems? Circuit breakers, fuses, and current limiters. If a wire is installed so that it comes in contact with some moving parts, what protection should be given to the wire? Pass-through conduit. In the American wire gauge, AWG system of numbers used to designate electrical wire sizes, the number assigned to a size is related to its cross-sectional area. What is the allowable voltage drop for a number 18 copper wire 50 feet long to carry 12.5 amperes continuous operation? 4 volts. What is the purpose of the selection of derated switches for non-continuous load current applications? To obtain reasonable switch efficiency and service life. What is the advantage of a circuit breaker when compared to a fuse? It is resettable and reusable. What is the advantage of a current limiter? It will take overload for a short period. What should be used to protect wires from chafing when they must pass through bulkheads, firewalls, ribs, etc.? Suitable grommet. In aircraft electrical systems, automatic reset circuit breakers should not be used as circuit protective devices. A certain switch, described as a single pole double throw switch, SPDT, the throw of a switch indicates the number of circuits each pole can complete through the switch. When considering an alteration, the criteria upon which the selection of electric cable size should be based are current carrying capacity and allowable voltage drop. What is an important factor in selecting aircraft fuses? Capacity matches the needs of the circuit. The circuit breaker in the instrument lighting system protects the wiring from too much current. One advantage of using AC electrical power in aircraft is greater ease in stepping the voltage up or down. Why are the iron cores of most induction coils laminated? To reduce the effects of eddy currents. Certain transport aircraft use AC electrical power for all normal operation and battery-furnished DC electrical power for standby emergency use. In aircraft of this type that operate no DC generators, the batteries are kept charged by rectifiers, which use the aircraft's alternating current generators as a source of power. The voltage in an AC transformer secondary that contains twice as many loops as the primary will be greater and the amperage less in the primary. If the positive field lead between a generator and a generator control panel breaks and is shorted while the engine is running, a voltmeter connected to the generator output would indicate residual voltage. What is a method used for restoring generator field or residual magnetism? Flash the fields. The major advantages of alternating current over direct current is the fact that its current and voltage can easily be increased or decreased by means of a transformer. Which of the following must be accomplished when installing an anti-collision light? Install a switch independent of the position light switch. The inductor type inverter output voltage is controlled by the DC stator field current. When using an ohm meter to check the continuity of a generator field coil, the coil should show very low resistance if it is a series field coil. The strength of the core of an electromagnet depends upon the material from which it is constructed and which of the following: the number of turns of wire, the coil, and the amount of current amperes passing through the coil. A voltage regulator controls generator voltage by changing the Resistance of the generator field circuit. The overvoltage control automatically protects the generator system when excessive voltage is present by opening the shunt field circuit. When DC generators are operated in parallel to supply power for a single load, their controls include an equalizer circuit to assure that all generators share the load equally. The equalizer circuit operates by increasing the output of the low generator and decreasing the output of the high generator until they are equal. What is the maximum amount of time a circuit can be in operation and still be an intermittent duty circuit? 2 minutes. The most common method of regulating the voltage output of a compound DC generator is to vary the current flowing through the shunt field coils. Referring to figure 18, which of the batteries are connected together incorrectly? 3. Referring to figure 19, upon completion of the landing gear extension cycle, the green light illuminated and the red light remained lit. What is the probable cause? Short in the up limit switch. If any one generator in a 24-volt DC system shows low voltage, the most likely cause is an out-of-adjustment voltage regulator. How can the direction of rotation of a DC electric motor be changed? Reverse the electrical connections to either the field or armature windings. Static inverters are electronic devices that change DC to AC with the use of an oscillator. Aircraft which operate only AC generators, alternators, as a primary source of electrical power normally provide current suitable for battery charging through the use of a step-down transformer and a rectifier. During inspection of an anti-collision light installation for condition and proper operation, it should be determined that the anti-collision light can be operated independently of the position lights. Major adjustments on the equipment such as regulators, contactors, and inverters are best accomplished outside of the airplane on test benches with necessary instruments and equipment. A just procedure should be outlined by the equipment manufacturer. A battery generator system provides direct current. On installations requiring alternating current from the battery generator system, it is necessary to have an inverter. An aircraft electrical circuit control relay is an electrically operated switch. A relay is a magnetically operated switch. The purpose of a rectifier in an electrical system is to change alternating current to direct current. What is the ratio of turns between the primary winding and the secondary coil winding of a transformer designed to triple its input voltage? Primary will have 1/3 as many turns as its secondary. In an AC circuit with no phase lead or lag, which is true? Real power equals apparent power. How are generators rated? Amperes at rated voltage. How is a shunt-wound DC generator connected? Both fields are shunted across the armature. The poles of a generator are laminated to reduce eddy current losses. What is the frequency of an alternator dependent upon? RPM. Where is the generator rating and performance data located? Stamped on the generator data plate. Residual voltage is a result of magnetism in the field shoes. In troubleshooting an electrical circuit, if an ohmmeter is properly connected across a circuit component and some value of resistance is read, the component has continuity and is not open. CSD generators are usually cooled by oil spray. A CSD unit drives a generator through the use of a variable hydraulic pump and hydraulic motor. Integrated drive generators, IDG, employ a type of high output AC generator that utilizes a brushless system to produce current. If the integrated drive generator IDG scavenge oil filter is contaminated with metal, you should remove and replace the IDG integrated drive generator. When necessary during operation, CSD disconnect is usually accomplished by a switch in the cockpit or flight deck. A CSD unit that is disconnected in flight due to a malfunction such as overtemperature may be reconnected only on the ground by maintenance personnel. An anti-skid system is designed to sense the deceleration rate of every main landing gear wheel and release, then rapidly reapply pressure at a slightly lower value when a skid is detected. In a brake anti-skid system, when an approaching skid is sensed, an electrical signal is sent to the skid control valve which relieves the hydraulic pressure on the brake. An anti-skid system is an electro-hydraulic system. Anti-skid braking systems are generally armed by a switch in the cockpit or flight deck. A typical takeoff warning indication system, in addition to throttle sensing, monitors the position of which of the following: elevators, speed brake, flaps, and stabilizer trim. The primary purpose of a takeoff warning system is to alert the crew that a monitored flight control is not properly set prior to takeoff. The system is activated by a thrust lever. An airspeed indicator measures the difference between pitot and static air pressure. The angle of attack detector operates from differential pressure when the airstream is not parallel to the true angle of attack of the aircraft. Regarding the above statements, when an airplane is slowed below approximately 20 miles per hour, The anti-skid system automatically deactivates to give the pilot full control of the brakes for maneuvering and parking. 2. An anti-skid system consists basically of 3 components: wheel speed sensors, a control box, and control valves. Regarding those above statements, both number 1 and number 2 are true. An anti-skid system wheel skid is detected by an electrical wheel sensor. Which of the following functions does a skid control system perform? Normal skid control, fail-safe protection, locked wheel skid control, touchdown protection. In the air with the anti-skid armed, current cannot flow to the anti-skid control box because landing gear squat switch is open. At what point in the landing operation does normal skid control perform its function? When wheel rotation deceleration indicates an impending skid. Regarding the above statements, 1. An anti-skid system is designed to apply enough force to operate just below the skid point. 2. A warning lamp lights in the cockpit or flight deck when the anti-skid system is turned off or there is a system failure. Regarding those above statements, both number 1 and number 2 are true. When an airplane's primary flight control surfaces are set for a particular phase of flight, such as landing or takeoff, the corresponding control surface indicating system will show trim position. The pneumatic reed-type stall warning system installed in some light aircraft is activated by negative air pressure. Stall warning systems are generally designed to begin warning the pilot when a stall is imminent. Referring to Figure 19, what is the indication of the red landing gear position light under the following conditions? Aircraft on jacks, landing gear in transit, warning horn sounding. The answer is extinguished. Referring to Figure 19, which repair should be made if the gear switch was placed in the up position and the gear does not retract? Replace electrical wire number 12. Which of the following conditions is most likely to cause the landing gear warning signal to sound? Landing gear not locked down and throttle retarded. Referring to Figure 20, what will illuminate the amber indicator light? Closing the nose, left and right wheel gear full retract switches. Referring to Figure 20, what is the minimum circumstance that will cause the landing gear warning horn to indicate an unsafe condition? Any gear not down and locked, and one throttle retarded. Where is the landing gear safety switch usually located? On the main gear shock strut. What safety device is actuated by the compression and extension of the landing gear strut? Ground safety switch. Which repair would require a landing gear retraction test? Gear lock micro switch. How long should a leak check be performed for after repairing an aircraft float? 24 hours. Landing gear warning systems usually provide which of the following indications? Red light for unsafe gear, green light for gear down, no light for gear up. In most modern hydraulically actuated landing gear systems, the order of gear and fairing door operation is controlled by sequence valves. What landing gear warning devices are incorporated on retractable landing gear aircraft? A horn or other oral device and a red warning light. When a landing gear safety switch on a main gear strut closes at liftoff, which system is deactivated? Anti-skid system. The rotor in an auto-send remote indicating system uses an electromagnet. The basic difference between an autosend and magnesend indicating system is the rotor. The rotor in a magnesend remote indicating system uses a permanent magnet. Microswitches are used primarily as limit switches to control electrical units automatically. Which of the following are some uses for a DC Selson system? Indicates position of retractable landing gear, cowl flap position, cooler door position, fuel quantity, and position of the flaps. Regarding the above statements, 1. A DC cell-send system is a widely used electrical method of indicating a remote mechanical movement or position. 2. A synchrotype indicating system is an electrical system used for transmitting information from one point to another. Regarding the above statements, both number 1 and number 2 are true. Prior to installation of pneumatic surface-bonded type de-icer boots on the leading edge of the wing, you should remove all paint from the area to be covered by a de-icer boot. Which of the following are found in laminated integral electrically heated windshield systems? Auto transformer, heat control relay, heat control toggle switch, indicating light. When repairing a laminate structure, the repair must preserve the electrical bonding or electrical properties of the original part. What is one check for proper operation of pitot-static tube heater after replacement? Ammeter reading. What controls the inflation sequence on a pneumatic de-icer boot system? Distributor valve. What is the source of pressure for inflating de-icer boots on reciprocating engine aircraft? Vane type pump. Which of the following regulates the vacuum of the air pump to hold the de-icing boots deflated when the pneumatic de-icing system is off? Suction relief valve. What may be used to clean de-icer boots? Soap and water. Some aircraft are protected against airframe icing by heating the leading edges of the airfoils and intake ducts. When is this type of anti-ice system usually operated during flight? Whenever icing conditions are first encountered or expected to occur. Which of the following indications occur during a normal operational check of a pneumatic de-icer system? Fluctuating readings on the pressure gauge and relatively steady readings on the vacuum gauge. What method usually employed to control the temperature of an anti-icing system using surface combustion heaters? Thermocycling switches. What is the purpose of the distributor valve in a de-icing system utilizing de-icer boots? To sequence the de-icer boots inflations symmetrically. What is the purpose of the oil separator in the pneumatic de-icing system? To protect the de-icer boots from oil deterioration. Where are the heat elements located on most aircraft with electrically heated windshields? Laminated in the glass. Two possible sources of heat for the operation of a wing thermal anti-icing system are compressor bleed air, aircraft electrical system. What maintains normal windshield temperature control in an electrically heated windshield system? Thermistors. Arcing in an electrically heated windshield panel usually indicates a breakdown in the conductive coating. Which of the following connects vacuum to the de-icer boots when the system is not in operation to hold the boots tightly against the leading edges in flight? Distributor valve. How do de-icer boots help remove ice accumulations? By breaking up ice formations. Why are the tubes in de-icer boots alternately inflated? Alternate inflation of de-icer boot tubes keeps disturbance of the airflow to a minimum. What system component aids in the prevention of carburetor icing? Air diverter butterfly. Why should a chemical rain repellent not be used on a dry windshield? It will restrict visibility. What is the principal characteristic of a windshield pneumatic rain removal system? An air blast forms a barrier that prevents raindrops from striking the windshield surface. What mixture may be used as a de-icing fluid to remove frost from an aircraft surface? Ethylene glycol and isopropyl alcohol. Which of the following is the best means to use when removing wet snow from an aircraft? A brush or squeegee? What are three methods of anti-icing aircraft windshields? An electric heating element in the windshield, heated air circulating system, and windshield wipers and anti-icing fluid. Using hot water or steam directly on plastic windshields for heating is likely to cause the acrylic to become milky or cloudy. What icing condition may occur when there is no visible moisture present? Carburetor ice. What should be used to melt the ice in a turbine engine if the compressor is immobile because of ice? Hot air. What is used as a temperature sensing element in an electrically heated windshield? Thermistor. In what area of an aircraft would you find a carbon monoxide detector? Cabin or cockpit? What occurs when a visual smoke detector is activated? A lamp within the indicator illuminates automatically. The types of fire extinguishing agents for aircraft interior, cabin, and cockpit fires are water, carbon dioxide, dry chemical, and halogenated hydrocarbons. When air samples contain carbon monoxide, portable carbon monoxide detectors containing yellow silica gel will turn which color? Green. Smoke detection instruments are classified by their method of detection. Smoke detectors that use a measurement of light transmissibility in the air are called photoelectric devices. A contaminated carbon monoxide portable test unit may be returned to service by removing the indicating element and installing a new indicating element. Which fire detection system measures temperature rise compared to a reference temperature? Thermocouple. A carbon dioxide CO2 handheld fire extinguisher may be used on an electrical fire if the horn is non-metallic. The proper fire extinguishing agent to use on an aircraft brake fire is dry powder chemical. If an engine fire develops during the starting procedures, the first step you should take in extinguishing the fire is to continue cranking to start and blow it out. Smoke in the cargo and/or baggage compartment of an aircraft is commonly detected by which instrument? Photoelectric cell. Light refraction smoke detectors are activated when the detector senses light reflected from smoke particles passing through a chamber. Why does the Fenwell fire detection system use spot detectors wired in parallel between two separate circuits? A short may exist in either circuit without causing a false fire warning. What type of thermally sensitive salt is used in Fenwell fire detection systems? Eutectic salt. A fire extinguisher container can be checked to determine its charge by weighing the container and its contents. What is the color code for fire extinguisher lines? Brown. The most common cause of false fire warnings in continuous loop fire detection systems is dents, kinks, or crushed sensor sections. A thermocouple in a fire detection system causes the warning system to operate because it generates a small current when heated. The thermocouple fire warning system is activated by a rate of temperature rise. When used in fire detection systems having a single indicator light, thermal switches are wired in parallel with each other and in series with the light. Built-in aircraft fire extinguishing systems are ordinarily charged with halogenated hydrocarbons and nitrogen. Regarding the above statements, in reference to aircraft fire extinguishing systems, 1. During removal or installation, the terminals of discharged cartridges should be grounded or shorted. 2. Before connecting cartridge terminals to the electrical system, the system should be checked with a voltmeter to see that no voltage exists at the terminal connections. Regarding those above statements, both number 1 and number 2 are true. What method is used to detect the thermal discharge of a built-in fire extinguisher system? A rupture of the red plastic disc in the thermal discharge line. The thermal switches of a bimetallic thermal switch type fire detection single loop system are heat-sensitive units that complete circuits at certain temperatures. They are connected in parallel with each other, but in series with the indicator lights. Referring to Figure 21, using the chart, determine the temperature range for a fire extinguishing agent storage container with a pressure of 330 psig. Consider 330 psig for both minimum and maximum pressure. 45 to 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Referring to Figure 21, determine what pressure is acceptable for a fire extinguisher when the surrounding area temperature is 33 degrees Fahrenheit, rounded to the nearest whole number. 215 to 302 psig. On a periodic check of fire extinguisher containers, the pressure was not between minimum and maximum limits. What procedure should be followed? Replace the extinguisher container. In some fire extinguishing systems, evidence that the system has been intentionally discharged is indicated by the absence of a yellow disc on the side of the fuselage. If a fire extinguisher cartridge is removed from a discharge valve for any reason, it should be used only on the original discharge valve assembly. Which of the following are fire precautions which must be observed when working on an oxygen system? Display no smoking placards, provide adequate firefighting equipment, keep all tools and oxygen servicing equipment free from oil or grease, and avoid checking aircraft radio or electrical systems. Which fire extinguishing agent is considered to be the least toxic? Bromotrifluoromethane, Halon 1301. Which fire extinguishing agent has less chance to reflash? Halon 1211. Maintenance of fire detection systems includes the replacement of damaged sensing elements. A squib, as used in a fire protection system, is a device for causing the fire extinguishing agent to be released. What are the components used to heat up water supply lines and wastewater tanks? Heat blankets and inline heaters. The wastewater tanks hold gray water. Which type of monocoque structure has the skin reinforced by a complete framework of structural members? Reinforced shell. Servicing diagrams that show the arrangement of equipment and location of quick access doors on an aircraft can be found in the Aircraft Manufacturer's Maintenance Manual. For doped and overlapping span-wise seams on a wing's leading edge, overlap the fabric at least 4 inches and cover with finishing tape at least 4 inches wide with the tape centered at the outside edge of the overlap seam. Which of the following statements is true regarding replacement rivets? The new edge distance of larger replacement rivets must not be less than minimums. When soldering close-fitting parts, solder is drawn into the space between the two parts by capillary action. When testing a 406 MHz emergency locator transmitter, ELT, care must be taken as the unit could send an emergency signal activating a search and rescue SAR agencies. When testing an emergency locator transmitter, ELT, a 50 ohm dummy load is connected in place of the antenna to prevent the signal from being radiated into space. Which of the following is a two-way text communication link between an airliner in flight and the airline's main ground facility? Aircraft Communication Addressing and Reporting Systems, ACARS. An amber light in a gear position indicating system typically indicates what condition? At least one gear is in transition. And that is all 1,100 or so questions for the Aviation Maintenance Technician Airframe written study guide. Good luck, everybody.